everybody! Welcome to Nerds with Alcohol. I'm Chris.
I'm Russ.
This is episode 234.
234, back in our virtual nerd basements, and I look like butt. I need a shave, and it was a hell of a day at work, and I had things that I had to do, so I got in a little late to clean myself up for the show, so you guys get to see me raw and unfiltered today.
Hey, CD.
Hi, CD. It's nice to see you.
We like alcohol too.
Yeah, it is a thing. It's a thing we do. Alcohol.
Alcohol, the cause of and solution
to all the world's all of life's problems. I think you were right.
Thank you, Homer.
Thank you, Homer Simpson. That was one of his most memorable, in my opinion,
it's the one that I quote all the time. That one and Forbidden Donut.
And of course, no. You know, they actually added that to the dictionary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the years ago.
That was a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Became part of the lexicon. That is fucked up. So, I hope everybody had a nice 4th of July weekend.
America,
fuck yeah. There was a lot of fireworks. Poor Dresden was not liking it. He was
not just Dresden, dude. Belmont and Trevor too.
Lots of dogs hate it, and a lot of people hate the 4th just because their dogs hate it.
Yep, like that's why I hate the 4th of July.
Right, I saw a lot of posts over the weekend that were just like, you know, fuck you and your fireworks, particularly like when they go well into the like early morning. You know. Mm-hmm. It's like, man, no, dude, you don't need to be firing off fireworks at fucking 1 o'clock in the morning, dude. It's not cool.
We stayed in the basement because normally we stay home, and just kind of our living room is in the basement right now, and in this house, and so we just kind of hang out down there with the dogs.
Well, considering that it's a great deal cooler down there.
It is. It was also cooler. It was fucking hot as hell this weekend, but we went down in the basement. Hung out there. We were over at a friend's house until right around 8 o'clock when the fireworks started. Home. Took care of the dogs. Hung out with them in the basement. Watched some TV. Stayed up till midnight. Decided, all right, well, you know, we should be okay to head upstairs. Nope, there was still fucking fireworks going off. Not a ton, but they were still going till at least 1 o'clock in the morning.
Boy, I can't wait to describe that cider. So anyway,
that was a face you made.
We'll get to that in a minute. We just kind of Dresden just kind of like dealt. I mean, maybe if we had gone into the basement, he would have probably been a little more comfortable but we don't spend a whole lot of time down in my basement. It's I mean, we have a kind of a semi-carpeted area down there, but well, like half the basement is finished. It's like 90%. Half of it is like 90% finished, and but we don't have a TV down there, so we would have, I don't know, we just didn't go down there. So it might have been a good idea for poor Dresden. It was, excuse me, it was a hell of a weekend though. Excuse me, god damn.
Damn.
There was an NHL player was killed because he took a 4-inch mortar to the chest, apparently.
Well, I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear about that. Yeah. He was a fireworks mishap killed him. And I mean, at first they thought maybe it hit his head or something, but when he was trying to get away from it, but apparently the autopsy showed that when he got hit in the chest, it hit him hard enough to stop his heart.
It was the Columbus Blue Jackets goalie. 24 years old.
Yep, pretty tragic. Dude from Europe apparently come over to play hockey.
Kivlenieks.
Yeah, they used to call him Kibby. Okay, so yeah, so that's a bummer. I mean, there was also something like 230. I think 230 people were shot and killed from like just stupidity. I think it was around the country, which is saying something, and apparently that's still down from the previous year, just because of stupid fights or drunken scuffles or whatever over the holiday weekend.
Yeah, that's.
I don't.
Oh, hey.
Welcome, welcome to America. America.
America.
America. Yeah. Oh, it's so proud to be an American. American.
Yeah, that's. I saw a thing on Facebook. It's 4th of July, the night that you go out and watch a bunch of people set off thousands of dollars worth of fireworks when you normally wouldn't trust them with a glow stick.
Right. Right. Exactly. I saw a what was it? I saw a meme that said my ex-wife posted it, and I saw a couple other people post it. And it was like, walk into the counter, slam down a handful of incense, and said, "How much for the angry sparklers?" Okay, or is it angry incense? Maybe you slammed down sparklers and said, "I fucked it up."
Yeah. It's
How much for the
that's
angry?
what,
That's what it was.
yeah. How much for the angry incense?
How much for the angry incense? Yeah, I fucked it up.
Yeah, I agree, CD. I think it's a waste of money. I won't buy fireworks. As a kid, I used to love them, but as an adult,
everybody loved them when they were a kid, you know.
As an adult, nah, I think it's a waste of money. And honestly, I'm so tired of them. Not just it'd be one thing if it was just the 4th of July, but now it's every fucking holiday is a fireworks holiday. They're legal here in Michigan, and they can legally do it 2 days before and 2 days after the holiday. But that doesn't matter. It's 2 weeks before a holiday, and they're setting them up, or it's a Tuesday.
Well, also the fact that I just like, I don't know, it just doesn't impress me anymore a little bit.
No,
I mean,
it doesn't either.
It not like it did when I was a kid. Like there are some people that are like, ooh, my friend Shadow is a like licensed now. They over the weekend. Well, they had a big thing over the weekend. Big ad. They did a gig lighting off professional grade fireworks, and then they also like just they're all about it. They worked with me at the parade company, and was at the parade, at the fireworks and everything, and Shadow was able to kind of give us like, oh yeah, that's that firework and that's this firework, and give us, it was kind of cool to hear the ins and outs of it. But I gotta admit, I mean, rarely do I see a fireworks show that makes me go, oh wow, that was cool. Most of the time I'm just kind of underwhelmed. I haven't seen one in quite a while that made me kind of go, wow. Even the spirit, even the ones downtown and the ones that the parade company puts on and stuff.
One of the best.
Okay, it's a fireworks show.
Yeah, one of the best I've seen is Thunder over Louisville. In all honesty, I was impressed by that one. They used the bridges. They actually shut down one of the bridges and used that to actually set off fireworks, and they do like this cascade down into the river that's really kind of cool, and it's a good show. But it's just okay, boom, okay, boom, okay, boom again, okay, boom again. All right, now that's the 5th time I've seen that same mortar go off.
I hear Disney puts on an amazing one.
Well, the Disney one, it's because it's set to music too. So
right, but also just like apparently Shadow was saying that they use extremely expensive fireworks, like fireworks that have like a gyroscope in them. So when it goes off, it specifically is like shoots off in the exact direction, so you're going to get a Mickey Mouse shaped explosion. Things like that. So that kind of thing. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of done with fireworks.
Yeah, I kind of am too. Back in my day,
back in the old days, back when we used to light fireworks up with a cigarette, and when we used to strap M80s together, you put 8 of those together, you got to stick a dynamite. Yeah. Back when we used to take,
there was no problems.
We never had any problems, I tell you. Back when you used to take a Roman candle and shoot it at your friends.
Dude, I've seen people
that magic missile.
Yeah, well, I've seen people that have strapped a bunch of Roman candles together, shove them into a bonfire, and then hold them up like a fucking Gatling gun, holding the middle of it and just having it shoot.
It's the dumbest fucking thing ever, man. People do dumb shit, man.
Yep.
Super, super stupid. Super stupid. And a lot of times it involves explosives. So for anybody out there that likes to listen to our show and likes fireworks, But go to, God's bless, more power to you. But I just am not. It just doesn't have that magic for me anymore. Not as much, you know. I guess I'm saying I'll go and see him, but I just don't. Just not a huge thing for me anymore. I'd be more about the social activity of going with my friends and going to the thing. So 4th of July. Other than that, unfortunately, I got some bad news from yesterday from a friend of mine, my buddy Sean, informed me that we lost another member of our Red Fair family. The unimitatable and very just charismatic Stephen Conrad passed away on Monday at some point earlier on in the day, from what I understand. He was for those of you that went to the Michigan Renaissance Festival, he was or actually Silverleaf, because he was part of the Silverleaf Renaissance Festival. In fact, from my understanding, might have been for a little while, was even the general manager of that festival. He was Captain Lucius Sapphire for a couple of seasons at the festival, at the Michigan Ren Fair. He also played Prince John when they brought back the Robin Hood storyline. And he played
a mole that moved every few minutes.
No, that would have been awesome though, and too much work. He did have some pretty spectacular wigs though. He had 2 wigs. He had one wig for the morning, and then he would change it out at lunchtime and have another wig. And it was just because he was a bald guy. He was a very tall man and he was very bald, but he had these gorgeous wigs when he played Prince John. It was really great. But he was actually one of the things that I saw about Stephen was because he started off as a patron at the fair. And he was one of those kind of like surprising success stories, because he was one of those patrons that show up and are dressed every day in costume, and he was in amazing costume because the guy did pretty well for himself, and so he had always had these really, really elaborate, expensive costumes. I remember seeing him walk around in a full suit of hardened black leather armor, and all he'd have his head exposed, and he would just be sweating bullets. Like constantly, just a completely drenched thing. But he looked so goddamn cool. Hot, but he looked so goddamn cool in that black leather armor that he just, he was going to wear that bitch all day. So, he joined cast, was a part of the Knights of Iron fight shows that was captained by my friend Dale, and got involved in some of the best fight shows that I've ever seen. And the cool thing about, he was like just a natural performer. I don't believe Steve ever had any like training as an actor, but he was really, really good at it. He was he did these incredible villainous characters, and learned how to sword fight and just all these great just picked up stage combat like he was born to it. So unfortunately, Steve developed some pretty serious health issues over the years. I believe it was some sort of degenerative disc disease in his spine. So he got to a point where he was in a great deal of pain and whatnot, and some other health issues, it sounded like. But yeah, so he passed away. He and his wife were driving home from a visit from her family for the holiday, and so yeah, he is survived by his wife Elizabeth, and a big group of people that really appreciated the guy. For the short amount of time he actually performed at MRF, he made a big impact, because I think he was only there for maybe 3 or 4 years. But he was also, like I said, he was a patron, so he was also kind of part of the community. And he was part of the patron community, he was part of our performance community, and he was a hell of a guy. So I'm gonna miss the guy. You want to raise your glass for Steve Conrad, man, never shall we see your like again. Plancha. Okay, that's getting better as I drink it now. It was just kind of shocking. So that was kind of a drag. I was just seeing a lot of posts from friends that have a lot of posts from friends that are just like a lot of memories and a lot of photographs. And I believe his last year at the festival was like, I don't know, like 6 or 7. So it's been a while since he's been a part of the fair, but he was still at least performed at the fair. But even after he left Michigan, he still did Silverleaf for a couple of years, and then kind of went back to being a patron, mainly because his body couldn't take the pounding anymore. So, but anyways, moving on. What do you drink? Or what did you do for the fourth weekend over the weekend?
Well, we had our game on Friday night,
We did have our game.
and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I had to take a phone call. Unfortunately, I had kind of an important phone call, and so I had to step away for a while, and I feel bad about that. So I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, we were trying to wait for you, and then we just decided that you could just pop back in when you got done. You weren't gone that long. You didn't miss them. But yeah, that was a good time. That'll be up later tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then Saturday, we went and saw the DCFC game. They were in the NISA, the NISA Championship, for their soccer league, and they won 1-0. That was awesome. It was the first time I've ever actually been to an actual game where a team won a championship. I've watched them on TV. I mean, I watched the Tigers win the World Series. I've watched the Wings win the Cup, things like that. But I've never actually been at a game when a team won, and that was so it was kind of cool to be there for that and the energy. The players loved the fans, and they were coming over, smacking hands, and the crowd was buying them beers and all sorts of things. So it was cool. And then Sunday went golfing in the morning, which we got off the course just as it was getting miserably hot. And then went over to my buddy's house for a little while, and then came and hunkered down in the basement. And then yesterday just took it easy. Really didn't.
Yeah, me too. I kind of took it fairly easy all weekend. Still had to work all weekend, which was kind of fucking, except for yesterday. She didn't have to work yesterday, but she normally doesn't. But she worked on the 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the bookstore was open like its full hours. You would have thought that maybe they would have, closed up shop early or something, but no.
Yeah. But yeah, it's other than that, I mean, today I had today off as well, and I just I got back into playing Star Wars: The Old Republic. They made a big announcement that I may bring up later on too.
Yeah, do it. Bring it up. Yeah.
And then other than that, yeah, I'm getting ready. Renee has surgery tomorrow, so
right on her shoulder, correct?
Yep.
And unfortunately, it's going to be kind of a long recovery, right?
Well, it depends. I mean, they're saying it's 4 to 6 months for full recovery, but a lot of she's getting mixed reviews from people that have had shoulder surgery, and hers is a small little tear in her shoulder. And I think some of the people she's talking to are talking about like rotator cuff surgery and things like that, where they were fucked up for a long time, but other people who have had it, they're like, yeah, I was in the sling for a week, and then I was in therapy and everything was fine. Other people are like, no, it was the worst pain I've ever had for 3 weeks. It was horrible. It was.
Oh dear Lord. I'm sure it's not going to be quite that bad. So
yeah.
Renee's a pretty strong person too. So
she is. The big thing is that we don't know we don't know how long it's going to be, how long it's going to take, so we don't know what plans are going to be as far as even like curling this fall. If she's going to be able to curl.
Sure.
She's going to take a full 6 months off of aerial, just because that is that's a massive thing.
Yeah, and it's going to be that would be a lot of a lot of stress on our shoulders and stuff.
But she said she's actually going to follow whatever the doctor recommends. So the therapist. So
right on. Speaking of aerial, I was watching America's Got Talent. And there's this guy. There was a group of 4 dudes.
Yeah.
That met on. Did you see it? That met on at Muscle Beach.
Yeah, Renee knows one of them.
Yeah, so do I.
James.
James, yeah, it
Yeah.
was just kind of fun. He performed at Theater Bazaar for a few years. I did his makeup for crying out
Oh
loud.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
Renee,
so
Renee, Renee knows him. She's gone out to dinner with him. She's done, um, she's taken a bunch of his classes.
right.
Comes to
This
Detroit
is
all the time. So
yeah, yeah. But he moved out there a while ago, and it was just like, holy shit. I think I'd seen something about a post online about that he was good that him and his group were auditioning and stuff. But I'll tell you, they were pretty spectacular. It was a
oh
pretty
yeah,
cool
that
act,
was impressive.
Yeah, impressive for like feats of strength coupled with acro
Yep.
and some really great stuff. So if you guys get a chance, man, you want to check them out. I cannot remember what they were called, but you could probably find them on,
Yeah, I don't remember either. I know Renee posted it,
yeah,
and
like
I
four
gotta go
hot
find it.
four hot guys doing acro shit on whatever. Yeah, it was pretty, and they were like, yeah, we all met at Muscle Beach. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. But James is a nice guy. He seemed like a nice guy. We were always like, oh, here comes Handsome. Oh, here comes Mr. Handsome in the makeup room again. Seemed like a nice guy. He was a nice guy. So yeah, so what are you drinking, brother?
I am drinking a beer that I picked up on my trip down to Tennessee.
All
Um,
right.
it's actually from Nashville, called Yazoo Brewing Company. It is the Gerst Amber Ale, and it is uh, it is a nice amber color. It looks really nice, very clear. Um, it has almost a lager aroma, which is kind of weird for actual ale. But overall, though, flavor wise, it's very malty. Um, it's a little bit sweet. There's no hop. There's really not any hop overtones, which amber should have a little, but not a lot. Um, but overall, it's pretty solid. It's really not bad. I don't know that they distribute anywhere outside of Tennessee. I found it down there, but yeah, if you like amber ales, it's pretty solid. I'll give it 3 bottle caps. Um, it's a solid version of what they're trying to do. It's not my favorite amber, um, but it's definitely drinkable. It's got a very dry finish. It's sweet, but it has it kind of finishes dry, but then there's the more I'm drinking it, the more I'm getting a little bit of a like buildup on the back of my tongue
Okay.
that from the sweetness. So, um, but yeah, it's all right. It's decent. So, what about
Okay.
you? You made a hell of a face earlier when you took
Well,
that first sip.
first of all, you'd be proud of me. I had the opportunity to have a beer a couple of days ago, and I chose to have one. I actually drank a couple of PBRs. I was like, because I'm like, this ain't bad. Yeah.
Renee and I were sitting outside yesterday while I was grilling in that heat,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, I should have thought of it. We should have ran to the store, got some PBR and some pickles, and because yesterday would have been a great day for a pickle beer.
Oh, I don't.
Dude, it is. Renee's like, I'm upset at how good that is.
I know, I know. I mean, I've been told I don't like beer enough though to try pickle beer, and but I know it's like it's upsetting when you taste something and you're like, son of a bitch, that's good. It makes you either mad or makes you laugh. And I did that happen to me when I tried peanut butter and pickle sandwiches.
Oh, that just sounds disgusting.
It does, right? It sounds awful. Nope. It's
I can't.
actually it's actually really fucking good.
I don't
It's
believe it.
try dill pickles, sliced dill pickles, creamy peanut butter, and it's got to be on like kind of cheapy Wonder Bread. Like it's got to be on like you're like kind of shit white bread, and it's surprisingly good. My old roommate John, he he made them, and he's like, hey mate, I'm gonna make one for you, and I like, no man, don't waste the resources. It's okay. And he's like, come on, they're great. I'm good. I'm okay. No, all right, just take a bite of mine. Just take a bite of mine. I'm like, I took one bite of his and I started laughing uncontrollably because I fought and I was like, because it was just so good. It was delicious, and I was like, Jesus Christ, this is the stupidest thing, you know. Anyway, so don't ever
Banana,
poo things.
bacon banana, I don't know about. Peanut butter banana, though. That
Oh,
is,
peanut butter banana, that makes sense. Sure,
that's just.
bacon and banana. I don't know, man.
So I
I
found
don't
the
know.
video, by the way, and unfortunately, in the America's Got Talent thing that Renee posted, it doesn't actually have their name. So I would actually have to play it to hear them say what their.
I see. Um, well, maybe we can post it in the nerds group or something, and we can people can take a look at it if they want. So what I'm drinking tonight is Blake's hard cider apple pie. Now, if you've been listening to this show, you know I'm a motherfucker for apple pie. If it's alcoholic apple pie, I'm all about it. Um, I've had better, but this is okay. I Something tells me that I might have had this before. That Blake's has made this before, and because it tastes there's something familiar about it, and I can't. I'm hard pressed to remember. For sure, it is
You
sweet.
had an apple crisp one a couple weeks.
Yeah, but no, I mean this make I'm tasting it and it feels like it just feels like I've had this something. Maybe Blake has done this before, and I'm not remembering. Um, it's 6.5 per volume, so it's a little bit. It'll wake you up and it'll slap you in the face if you have too many of these. But it's not, like a lot of ciders, you're not really tasting the alcohol so much. It is very sweet, and it's almost surprisingly sweet when you first take that drink, and that's where that initial, kind of face that I made. It was like, mm, because it is like it hits those sweet taste buds right away. Um, and then you taste like the caramel that they've kind of and because it's apple, cinnamon, and vanilla, and I think the cinnamon and vanilla together kind of make this false caramel flavor, and
Okay.
or caramel, whichever you want to say. It's um, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just uh, I'm having a tough time vocalizing this here. It's not bad, but it definitely got a few flavor. The flavor profile is not exactly what I was expecting. In fact, I'd actually even say that the cinnamon and vanilla flavor like kind of overpowers the apple flavor.
Oh,
And like I said, it gives you this almost a caramel flavor as well. But it almost feels like a synthetic caramel or like a cheap caramel,
hmm.
you know. And yeah, so I have a 6 pack in there and I'll drink it, I'm sure. Um, I'm not hating this at all. I'm just like, I don't know. There's something off that I'm having a tough time laying down. So, guys, Blake's hard cider. Another, I'd say this is still in the win category, but I'm being a little nitpicky. I think maybe that's it. I'm just being
Hmm.
kind of nitpicky. But so Blake's apple pie, I would imagine for the summer or maybe as we approach, fall or something like that. It's probably a summer. This is a summer flavor. I'd say this is a summer flavor apple pie. I mean, there ain't much more American than apple pie the 4th of July. PBR and apple pie and barbecue and an American Eagle and fireworks. That's what you want on the 4th of July.
America.
America. But fuck yeah! Um,
There's no A in America.
it's just America. I'm American. No, American is something completely different. You're probably right. I'm not. That's not wise. Um, stupid jokes, Russ. Moving along. We should get into the nerd talk. What do you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah. Just real quick. Tangerine Space Machine is pretty good CD. Not one of my favorites by New Holland. I love New Holland stuff, but that one's. I haven't had it in a while. I had it at a beer tasting or a beer dinner that New Holland did at Hopcats here in Detroit, and it was pretty good, but it wasn't one that I would drink all the time. It is kind of like one like the juicy beers, and it was actually before like all the New England IPAs came out. That may be what it is too. I wasn't used to that type of flavor. But yes, so we should get into some of the nerd talk. Black Widow opens this Friday. Um,
Yes. And the initial reviews are killer. I mean, they're apparently saying wonderful things.
the Yeah, it that I was planning on going to see it this weekend, but with Renee's surgery, I don't know, if I will or not, because I don't think she's going to be up for going anywhere
Oh,
this weekend. So
Auntie Dawn said she had surgery, soldier
yep.
surgery, back in 17, so she's good now. So thanks, Auntie.
Not back in 17. I think that's May 17th.
Oh, maybe May 17th. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. I was thinking May of 17, but okay. May 17th. You are correct, sir. Thanks, Auntie. We'll be sure to keep that in mind for hopefully.
Yeah, Renee is not actually on watching us right now. She's taking one of our dogs. We've got dog sitters for the next couple of days.
Yeah.
So she's actually taking one.
See. Yeah, we don't have our web guru, our web mistress watching the show right now.
Social media mistress.
Right. Black Widow.
Yes.
Yeah, I am actually planning on seeing. I'm actually two of my friends, friends Jessica and Andy, went up north for the 4th, and from the 4th to the 8th. So they asked me to swing into their apartment and feed their cats. So where they were like, let's go and see Black Widow, and we come back. I'm like, yeah, fuck them down. Let's go and see it. So probably gonna see it with Jess and Andy, and I'm really looking forward to it. I haven't been to the movie theater yet since the pandemic started. In fact, the last movie I saw at the theater, I remember this distinctly, was Birds of Prey. So I am very much looking forward to.
I didn't even see that in the theater.
Yeah,
I was before that.
Yeah, it's interesting that the last movie I saw at the theater was a female-centric superhero movie, and the next movie I'm seeing at the theater will be a female-centric superhero movie. I'm okay with it. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get out to see it as soon as I can. I just don't know that I'll be able to even talk about first impressions next week.
Right. But they're saying wonderful things. They're saying that it's the best standalone movie, best standalone Marvel movie that we've had. It is a prequel. It takes place right after Civil War, apparently, when the superheroes kind of branched off and they went off and did their own thing. So right after Captain America or Civil War. So we're gonna see basically the Black Widow kind of like closing up some history and figuring out some history. They're establishing her family, her KGB family that she was a part of. Apparently it goes into the backstory is that her fake father and fake mother that were KGB agents, and her fake sister, who was also like a trainee, and they were all like underground, or they were spies in America as KGB like spies, and so that's going to be fucking cool. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, they're
going to show her growing up in the orphanage,
the Red
or whatever.
Room. Yeah, they're going to be and see some of her training and stuff like that. But then she did spend several years apparently undercover in America when she was a teenager as as sleeper agents or whatnot. And so I'm really excited to see. You got the cast looks great. You've got Rachel Weisz is playing her mother, quote unquote, and the Iron Maiden is her code name. And you got David Harbour playing her father as he was Red Guardian. So basically the Russian Captain America, for lack of a better term. And hey, I'm jazzed about this. They are saying that one of the things that does kind of suck about this movie is that she kind of takes a back seat in her own movie to Miss Pugh, Florence Pugh, I think, who plays her sister. like this. Like apparently, she just kills it, knocks it out of the park, and
Well, and they're prepping her for more in the MCU now
right. In fact,
with
she's supposed
Natasha gone.
right. And Florence Pugh is supposed to play the new, essentially the new Black Widow, and she's supposed to show up in Hawkeye,
Yep.
which is one of the next shows we're going to be seeing coming up later this year. Um, that's actually something. I mean, have they announced? I can't remember if they've announced what's next after Loki. Is it What If?
I think it's What If.
Yeah, I think it's What If. And then after What If, we probably see, I think, a little break, and then we see.
Yeah, What If is in August.
Right. So we got 2 more weeks. We got this week and next week, and then we have like a couple of weeks break, and then we're getting into the What If cartoons.
Yeah, and then Hawkeye is just the fall of 20.
So yeah. So anyway, they're saying really, really great things, and it's about damn time because she definitely deserves it. We should have had this movie a long time ago. I mean, if it hadn't been for COVID, we would have had it a year and a half ago.
Yep.
Goofy. Anything else you want to say about it?
No, I was just mentioning that it is coming out this week in theaters and on Disney Plus Premium if you want to spend the $30.
Hey man, if you got 5 people sitting in your living room watching it with you, why not? But otherwise, I'm going to the goddamn movie theater.
So one of the other things I was seeing some stuff about Netflix. There's a new series of movies that are coming out. They're putting out one movie per week in this trilogy, and it's the Fear Street movie.
Yeah.
Now, I was not familiar with the Fear Street movies. Reading about them and stuff, I kind of want to watch them now just to see because it's kind of a time jump type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's I guess it's based on a young adult novel series.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, man, when it comes to publishing these days, young adult is some of the biggest, some of the most read types of books right now. I mean, that's if you're publishing these days, if you want to be a publisher, you want to be an author, published author, young adult, man, that's the way to go, apparently.
Yep, but supposedly the first one has gotten some good reviews. The second one that came out last Friday, and a bunch of people, I guess, were binging it this weekend and watching it. And then this Friday, the second one, I think the first one was Fear Street 1994, and then the next one is Fear Street 1978, and the third one is Fear Street 1666.
So it goes backwards. I thought it was going the other way.
No, it's going backwards in time.
All right. Cool.
It's basically telling the story of this group and where this family and why things are haunted and cursed and.
Okay, well that's cool. I am looking for. I'm going to see it eventually. I'm sure. Looking forward to it. It looks cool at the very least. I don't know really anything about the books or anything, but
I heard one of the things I was reading. They said that they're basically like Goosebumps for older kids.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like R.L. Stine wrote several different types of R.L. Stine wrote Goosebumps, and he wrote several different series of books. He wrote the Goosebumps, the Goosebumps or Goosebumps. Well,
he wrote Fear Street too.
He did write Fear Street. Okay, yeah. So that was his series, because I remember when I worked in the bookstore decades ago, back when I was in my early 20s, and I remember when Goosebumps was kind of first coming out, was immense. I mean, nobody wanted to go and fucking clean up the goddamn kids department because the Goosebumps section was like a disaster area. But I remember there was entire, he wrote also books that were targeting young teenagers and then the mid-range teenagers and stuff like that too. So that's, I guess, what that's coming from. So that's kind of cool. I'll probably check it out.
Yeah, I may check them out a couple hours, but whatever.
There's so much good stuff out.
Yeah, there is
right now too. There's just so much.
Speaking of good stuff, I started watching Shadow and Bone. Renee and I did.
Yeah, speaking of young adult, actually too, because that's also a young adult series.
Is it? I thought that was just a regular novel series. I didn't think that was young adult.
I don't know. I think it might be Shadow and Bone. I don't know. You might have to, one of us may have to look it up. Are you going to look it up?
Is a young adult fantasy
Yeah.
adventure and debut novel written by Israeli American author Lee Bardugo.
I got to tell you, I mean, we've been watching it. I think I'm 3 episodes in, maybe halfway. I'm not sure because there's only 8 episodes in the first season. But
Yeah,
they
we're,
have
we're only
already.
2 episodes in.
But they announced a third or a second season almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they had a like, oh, we're gonna definitely do this because I mean that's the thing.
Well,
I mean, if the producers look at it and go, holy shit, this is good, then they'll immediately say, yeah. Look at what happened with the boys.
And
The boys and Invincible.
Yeah, and the thing is that Shadow and Bone is actually, it's not just the Shadow and Bone series, it's also the other novel series that the person did, that's in the same world, and they're combining the two together because all the stuff with the dude with the crow cane and stuff, that's all the other series. Renee's like, I don't know what's going on with that because that's the other series. Renee's actually listened to the audiobooks for Shadow and Bone.
Okay.
But she's like, I don't know anything that's going on with that other stuff.
Well, that's interesting then. That's an interesting way of doing it. Okay, so they're combining the two storylines or the two
Yep.
two storylines into one. All right, I gotta admit it is a little, that part of it is a little like, it's a little frenetic because you're kind of like, okay, now like which is coming first, what do we follow first or whatever.
My thing was they just throw you in too. There's no explanation of what's going on in the world, and Renee said it's the exact same way in the books.
Right.
You're just thrown in the deep end and you got to figure out what's going on. But I'm like, I was confused the entire first episode trying to figure out what the hell is going on with this world. What the fuck is that? Whatever that thing is, the span
Or
whatever it is. And I'm like, what the hell is that thing? And all this. And
well, it looks to be. I mean, I find it to be interesting because it is supposed to be a fantasy setting, but it's got some levels of technology like steam power technology. It's a very Victorian level of technology. So you've got guns, you've got revolvers, you've got Gatling guns that's very much apparently like evening the odds when it came to magic users, because they have these magic users that are very elemental. You got somebody that's tossing around fire, you got people that are tossing around like wind, then you've got people that are heart renders that apparently can, which it seems to me heart renders. Well, I think they can, yes, but I think they can also manipulate your mind a little bit because it looks like some of the heart renders are act as like prostitutes and stuff.
I guess from what Renee said, the heart renders can go two paths. They can either be those that are offensive and do things like detecting people and stopping hearts and doing things like that, or they can be healers.
Right. Okay. Because and then there were definitely healers as well. That might have been just like straight up healers. They had it seemed to me that there were some generalized magic users, and then there were some that like kind of specialized a little bit more.
Yeah, well, then there's the ultra rare shadow,
the Shadowcaster, I think, or Shadow Summoner, and then the even more rare, the Sun Summoner. That is the main
which is just a legend at the beginning of the
or not so much a legend, but just somebody they hadn't seen in a real long time.
No, they say actually that they really thought it was just a legend.
Oh, okay, all right.
They mentioned that in the second episode.
I just remember there's also like, I mean,
I think it's the general that says that.
Okay. There was
did you recognize the general?
Yeah, it's Ben Barnes. Yeah. That's Stella adores Ben Barnes. She's all about it.
Renee's like, oh yeah, Westworld, and I went, oh, I was gonna say Punisher, but
yeah, he was in the Punisher too. Yeah.
He's Jigsaw.
But the one girl that she meets when she first shows up at the I think that was in the second episode when she first shows up at the palace, and the one girl that was fixing her hair and shit. Have you met her?
I think so.
Yeah, she shows up, when the general takes, the main girl, the Sun Summoner, to the palace, and then like she's this one, very pretty mage comes in and says, and she's basically gonna fix her up because she looks like shit. And she's a healer, but she's also a tailor, which means she has a specialized gift that she can, yes, she can heal you, but she can also sculpt the human form. And she made mention about like fixing the queen's droopy tits or something like that, and
Hmm.
and change your hair color, change the way you look and shit like that. So it seems to me like some of the like she would be what would be considered like a very like a rarer healer. So it is interesting to note that, I mean, like these magic, you can't just learn magic too. You have to be born to it. It's like a
Yeah.
natural, it's more like a sorcerer, that you
Right.
have to be born to,
They're tested when they're young.
right, manipulating magical energy and stuff like that. So,
Hey, just
uh,
want to say real quick, thanks Sneak Coot for hosting us.
oh yeah, hey man, thanks for hosting. That's really cool. I wasn't even been paying attention. Um, cool, man. Um, so anyway, the series looks really cool.
Yeah.
The design element is really cool. I'm interested to see how they, how they reconcile the whole shadow, um, the whatever it is, the void or
The span.
the span or whatever it is that they have to. I always forget it. Apparently, it's very dangerous to cross it
There's
because of,
creatures that live in it.
yeah, there's these horrible dragon like demon like creatures that are inside it, and some, it's like holy shit. But just like I said, the really cool steam element or a design element, they integrate like a steampunk thing with low levels of technology, with magic and
The fold, that's what it is.
the fold.
Renee
That's
just
what it
Renee
is.
just chimed in.
Thank you, Wings Cook. Um, yeah, it seems really fucking cool. The fold, the fold.
Yeah, I never remember it either. I can never remember what the name of it is.
Um, and I mean, it's obviously, you know, two warring nations and them dealing with that. And, you also got like a contingent of people that you like pretty much consider all magic users witches and some kind of like heretic
Well,
type
yeah,
of
and
thing.
there's a whole nother like country of people that don't appear to have magic users, but they've been getting better technology, which is where they're getting better guns, which
Hmm.
is evening the playing field.
Yeah, there's a point in one of the series, or one, I think one of the more later episodes, I think it might be past Where You're At, where the general talks about that. He talks about like when I started,
That's
in
in
the
episode
military.
2, I
Oh,
think.
is it? Okay.
Yeah.
When I was in the military, and they talk, they said that one was it, they're not a caster, they're a there's a particular word for them.
Yeah.
But it's like relating to the fact that one magic user was worth 50 normal soldiers, and then the revolver came out, and then it kind of evened the field more, like worth 10, and then the Gatling gun was became a thing, and it kind of completely evened it up because it looks like these magic users take a bullet just like anybody else, man.
Yep.
So the nice thing about it though is some of them, like the Grisha, that's
Appreciate
what
it.
it is. Thank you. They get it. They get to them quick enough, man. They can pop that bullet out and heal them up, but it's still it's dangerous, man. So, um,
Yeah. So the only other thing I saw for Netflix, eh, that's
it's
fine.
okay.
Thanks,
It's all
thanks,
right. We
thanks
need
for
the
the info.
information.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
thanks,
need the
thanks for the
information.
info. Um, the other thing that I saw for Netflix is Catherine Tate, who many people would know from Doctor Who, the David Tennant years. She was Donna, one of
To
the
who?
most popular. Uh, well, she's one of those very divisive companions. You either loved her or you hated her. There were very few people I've talked to that were like Donna was meh. Um,
What was the actress? Who was the actress?
Catherine Tate,
Okay.
and she was a big time comedian even before she was on Doctor Who. She was entertaining, I think, on Doctor Who, but I wasn't a big fan. She's like one of my least favorite companions on. But
Oh, she was on The Office, dude.
was she?
Yeah, she was on the American version of The Office, like one of the late, like the last like two seasons or something. Yeah, I
Oh,
remember
okay.
her. Sure. Yeah, she
Um,
was hilarious on that show.
I never watched The Office.
She
But
had her own show
yeah,
on British television. She had her like a sketch show,
yeah.
and I remember there was an episode that that uh, that Doctor Who
David Tennant came on. Yeah,
David
I saw
Tennant was
that one.
on
Yeah,
the show. It
and
was
she was
fucking
playing
hilarious.
the snotty student, and he
Yeah,
was the
she's like,
teacher.
"Are you
Yeah,
the doctor? Are you the doctor? Are you the doctor? Are you the?" You know, just like, and then he's like, and finally pulls out a sonic screwdriver and like shrinks her. You know, it was like, all right, that's I've enough of that. You know, it was pretty funny.
but yeah. Donna was not one of my favorites. But anyway, a lot of people did like her. But anyway, she's getting her own Netflix series. It
Right.
is going to be a mockumentary about a fictional women's prison in England called Hard Cell.
Okay.
And she's going to play multiple characters on the show.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that should be interesting. I mean, that's a thing for British comedy sometimes. It's just these sketch comedy shows where they do multiple characters and stuff.
Yeah,
It
and
looks like she was more recently she was on did a voice for the new DuckTales cartoon. She was Magica Dispel. One of the villains. Yeah.
But anyway, that's supposed to come out in 22.
All right.
They're saying they don't. There's no word on anyone else that'll be on there. They figure she's not going to play every character, and there wouldn't be. And the article I was reading about it was actually talking about how there's that whole joke about there's only a handful of actors across the pond there, and
Right. Oh, it's just a handful, right?
So we may see some other people, and then there's talk about how great it would be to have David Tennant show up on there again.
Chris, I gotta the door is locked and I gotta let Stella in.
Oh, okay.
The screen door is locked. She can't get in. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves.
I
Yeah.
I don't talk by myself as well as you, Russ. I don't just keep talking and talking and talking.
I'm very good at it.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Anyway, that was one of the last things I had.
I know.
Then also, and I'm sure we'll get into this when Russ gets back in. We did just have a death in the movie industry and entertainment industry. Richard Donner, known for doing the original Superman movies back in the 70s, did pass away. He was also the director of the Goonies. He very, very famous actor. He did Superman 2, The Goonies, Lethal Weapon, a lot of different movies, and he was really well known. Watching a Goonies thing, he had a whole there was a whole story about him and when he was doing Goonies, and it was. And welcome back.
And I'm back.
Just talking about Richard Donner.
Oh, Dick Donner, yeah.
And
this is a big one for me, actually.
Yeah, and well, I mean, for me too. I mean, he did a lot of movies that I loved. I was just saying, like Superman 2, Lethal Weapon,
The Goonies. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And actually, one of the best stories I ever heard was watching that. I think it was the that one where they a bunch of them got together and were just talking about being on doing the Goonies.
They did the
Together Apart or something.
Together Apart. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Those were great. I watched all of those. Those were so cool.
And when they were talking about it and how I think
the Goonies.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm blanking.
The cool thing is they got everybody back for that. That was incredible too, you know.
That's what it was.
Yeah, they did. If you watch, if you watch the commentary track on the Goonies DVD, it has Dick Donner sitting there with the entire cast of the Goonies.
Yeah,
and they're like, and they're watching it together. It's awesome.
Well, but when they were talking about it, I think it was Spielberg that when because he actually came on there too, and he was talking about with Donner, and he's like, I'm so done with working with these kids.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go home and just and Spielberg paid to have all of the kids go to Hawaii,
Flown into his place
flown
in
into
Hawaii.
Hawaii,
Hmm.
and go to Donner's house before he even got back.
Yeah, and they
So he
wrecked the
walked
joint.
in and like all the kids are at his house.
Yeah, they wrecked the joint. It was great. I mean, well, they didn't destroy it, but they they were kids. They're a bunch of fucking preteens that and teenagers that just showed up and were like, "Hey, we're in Hawaii. Hey, Dick, it's great to see ya." Um, the guy was really, really great. I mean, his career. He was actually a lot older. He died. He was 91. A lot older than a lot of people thought he was, or like at least older than I thought he was, because the comic book writer Jeff Johns worked for Dick Donner for a while, and Jeff Johns is only a few years older than I am. So it was just he's been in the business a long time. His earliest credits were 1960, where he directed some television shows. He actually
Oh, he
acted in
did
a
Lady
few
Hawk.
things too.
Didn't know that.
Oh, he directed Lady Hawk? I didn't know that.
Oh,
He
man.
actually acted he acted a little bit too. He acted in a few things, but not anything big. It was all just like little uncredited roles and stuff. But yeah, he did a lot of television in the early 60s. Have Gun Will Travel, The Rifleman, The Detectives, Wagon Train, The Tall Man, Combat, Doctors and Nurses, The Twilight Zone, bunch of episodes. He did 6 episodes of
Oh,
The Twilight Zone, The Man from
might not
Uncle.
have direct.
Okay. Gilligan's Island.
Wait.
He did okay. He did 3 episodes of Gilligan's Island, Perry Mason, Get Smart. I mean, so tons of
The
television.
Omen.
Yeah, he directed The Omen, Wild Wild West.
Scrooged.
He directed Scrooge. I didn't realize that.
All 4 of the Lethal Weapon movies.
Well, yeah, that was a very family oriented thing though too. Like he directed those, and they were all like he's like, I mean they were basically a big family. That's why they all kept coming back. There was no like all 4 of the movies that just kept coming back. I heard there was some talk of like possibly doing a 5th Lethal Weapon movie, but
Yeah, I've heard that too.
yeah.
He did The Toy.
Yep, The Toy, Lady Hawk, you're right, Goonies. He even directed the videos, Cyndi Lauper's Good Enough video.
Hmm.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon, Scrooged, Radio Flyer. I mean, the guy was a very he was a very eclectic director. I mean, he had, like I said, he directed The Omen, for God's sake, considered, so fucking crazy frightening movie. And then then a few years later he directs The Toy,
Yeah.
with Richard Pryor. He directs Superman.
Well, yeah,
And
he
a
did. He
lot
did The Omen, and then 2 years later, he did Superman.
right. And a lot of people talk about, the thing about this about Superman is that movie changed the way we saw superhero movies. It
Hmm.
was, the tagline is "You'll believe a man can fly," because they invented like technology, special effects technology, to make him fly, to make Christopher Reeve look like he was flying, to make the flights look believable. He didn't just jump off screen and then they're like, whoa, okay, you're on a blue screen, because back then it was blue screen. He actually lifted up into the sky, and it was very realistic looking. So they actually say that that we wouldn't have had Batman if we hadn't had we wouldn't have had Tim Burton's Batman if we hadn't had Superman, 10 years earlier. We wouldn't have had we wouldn't have the MCU if it hadn't been for Dick Donner's, Superman 1 and 2. Now, it was one of the tragic things about Superman 2 is that he was kind of fired off of the movie, and then they had to, like, he had pretty much done half of the movie, and then somebody else had to come in and finish the second half. And they filmed Superman 1 and 2 pretty much consecutively. They filmed the first one, and then they took a short break and then started filming the second one. And I think Dick Donner basically got kicked off about halfway through the production on the second one. They hadn't brought in another director. That's why the Dick Donner, they made a Donner cut of Superman 2. And in many ways, it's kind of superior. I have it and I watched it, and it's pretty great. They had to integrate some scenes that hadn't been finished, and some scenes that were just kind of like originally were just rehearsals that they had filmed, to kind of work in some of the things that he wanted. But yeah, I mean, it says here, Feige, president of Marvel Studios and chief creative officer of Marvel Entertainment, and influential comic book writer and former chief creative officer for DC Entertainment, Jeff Johns, were among those wide-eyed kids who loved Superman the movie. But these two took the film's inspiration all the way to Hollywood and straight to the production company run by Richard and his wife and fellow Hollywood producer Lauren Schuler Donner. So yeah, Jeff Johns worked for Dick Donner and was like a PA or something like that, and did a lot of work under him in his production studio. As did Kevin Feige. So the guy definitely had some really iconic films, and I own quite a bit of his films. I have The Goonies, I have all 4 Lethal Weapons, I have Maverick, I have Superman 1 and 2.
I have several. I have Scrooged. I have the 4 Lethal Weapons. I have Superman 2, Goonies.
Scrooge is probably my favorite Christmas movie.
It's one of my favorites. One of the ones I want to watch every year.
It's up there. It's right up there with Christmas Vacation
and Die Hard for me.
And Die Hard for sure, because Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Those are the 3 movies I like watching right around Christmas.
Right. So our hearts and thoughts and minds and go out to Mr. Donner and his family, and at their time of loss. So, to Dick Donner, and thank you for everything you've done for us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for all the good time.
Yeah. Now, at the same time, he was 91.
Mm-hmm.
So this was not like a tragic. He didn't die at 60 or something like that. He was 91. So he did live a long life, thankfully, and a good one. So, but thanks again. But like I said, thank you again, Dick Donner. So, moving along.
Well, we're a little over the hour mark now.
I got a quick one.
Yeah, I think we might save the stuff, the D&D stuff, until next week.
Okay. I got a quick one here. Simon Pegg. This was announced about a week ago. Simon Pegg is adapting Galaxy Quest for television.
Okay.
So, I mean, I trust Simon Pegg. He's a nerd fan. He's a guy. I mean, he's partially responsible for the new Star Trek films. He was a writer on them and stuff.
Well, he wrote the 3rd one.
Yeah, and I think he co-wrote part of them or something. I don't know, but he's a huge nerd. He's very respectful of the nerd like properties that he's involved with. And apparently he's a huge fan of Galaxy Quest, the 1999 movie with Tim Allen, Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman, and Sam Rockwell. Apparently, there was talk a couple years ago about potentially a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But then, unfortunately, they just couldn't get the scheduling right. They wanted to get everybody back, but it was hard to get the scheduling right. Tim Allen had his sitcom. And then unfortunately Alan Rickman passed away, and so that kind of stalled any kind of thing, because apparently the sequel, a lot of the storyline that was being written for the sequel dealt a lot with the relationship between Rickman's character Dr. Lazarus and Tim Allen's character Peter Quincy Taggart. So he said that Tim Allen was like, it was going to be a fabulous script. It was really cool. Now there was most recently a comic book series that was released that dealt with a sequel. It was kind of a sequel, and it was kind of cool. But and I think partially that was based partially on the script that they were able to get a hold of. So anyway, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, Amazon Prime Video series Truth Seekers was canceled recently, so this is I guess his new project that he's trying to put together. There's not a whole lot of information beyond the fact that Simon Pegg's working on it. He's bringing
Yeah,
working on bringing the film to the small screen with the thick of it and Succession writer Georgia Pritchett. So
I just don't know that we need that on the.
I don't know, man. I loved that movie.
I
I
did too,
love
but I
that
don't
movie.
think we need a TV series. It was great as the movie that it was.
I don't deny that, but I would love to see more. That's the thing. That's the difference between you and I, man. Quite often you're satisfied with like, that's it. I'm good. We've seen the movie and I'm done. And me, I'm quite often, I'm like, I want to see some more. Like what else, what
Yeah,
else can they bring to the
exactly. We
table?
have the Orville. We don't need Galaxy Quest.
Fair enough. But when that goddamn Orville is coming out, man, I want to see my goddamn Orville. I know it's coming. It's supposed to come like near the end of the year, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Near the end of 21. That's what they're talking. Because I'm on my Orville. It's supposed to be good.
Yep.
So that was a quick one there. Also, some video game news here. I got the Nintendo Switch is coming out. We're going to be putting out a new version of the Nintendo Switch. They're saying a larger screen. It's this Nintendo Switch OLED model. Is the official Nintendo Switch Pro we've been waiting to hear about, and it's launching in October. The Nintendo Switch, as it's officially called by Nintendo, OLED model, so it's officially called, will be released on October 8th for $349.99. I always hated that. Why don't they just round it up? I get it. It taxes. What the fuck, Anyway.
It's actually, it is a mental thing. So a lot of people, I see $10. Like $9.99 would be $10. My dad sees it, he sees 9. He's always said it's $9. I said, no, Dad, it's $9.99. It's or 99 $99.99. He's like, oh, it's $90, and I'm like, no, it's $100.
Right.
A lot of people see that and they only look at the first number. Go, oh, okay, it's this much. That's one of the reasons why they do it.
Huh. I did not
The
know
weird
that.
one for me is that gas is actually to the 10th of a penny.
Right. I've never understood that either. Well, I know from what I understand, I believe it is because of a tax purposes kind of thing, but still, it's just dumb. It's just dumb.
You're right. CD said it's a marketing trick because it is, and that's the other thing is when you put up like your house for sale. When I was looking at my house and putting up my house in Louisville, we were looking at about $100,000, and they're like, well, if you're going to put it up for $99,999, not $100. It makes a huge difference on who will come look at your house.
Weird. Well, anyway, it's retailing for $349.99 with both black and white and black and neon red / blue models available at launch. And the pre-orders have already gone online. The console comes with a bigger, more vibrant screen and an Ethernet port built right into the dock. Despite rumors that it would support 4K gaming, a press release confirmed that the Switch OLED model's highest resolution output will be 1080p in docked mode. So it won't be 4K. So basically, it's going to have an Ethernet port. So if you want to run a hardline instead of having a Wi-Fi port, or instead of doing the Wi-Fi, you can. And I guess for, hardcore gamers, that Ethernet port, having that running that hard internet line is important. So, I mean, God's know, I've got a hard line to my modem for this computer. So it definitely can make a difference. I mean,
yeah, I've actually got Wi-Fi built into this into my desktop, but I don't use it. I've got a hard line going.
Yeah, I believe I do too. So yeah, I could.
I mean, when we get back into the nerd basement, I'm planning on running a hard line all the way down to the basement to plug in the laptop. Because I don't trust Wi-Fi to try and stream multiple cameras. And
probably a wise decision, sir. So anyway, it will include 64 gigabytes of built-in storage, doubling the standard Switch model's 32 gigabytes of storage. That sounds low for a video games
it really does.
thing. And it looks like you'll still be able to expand the storage with a micro SD card if you need more space. It just seems low. I mean, when we're dealing with like terabyte amounts of space in certain in some of the other
Well, you got to remember
systems.
though, Nintendo's games aren't as graphics intensive generally as like
Yeah, but
Skyrim. You're not playing
with
Skyrim on the Switch.
you can. It's been ported over to the Switch.
Okay.
So
I
yeah,
would never play it on a Nintendo system.
actually, I mean, I've seen it. It doesn't look bad. It's nice. I mean,
I was
but
never a
yeah,
big Nintendo guy.
I was. I mean, I think you might have missed the boat a little bit. You were a little bit older for Nintendo, so when the Nintendo came out, you might have been.
Sega.
Yeah. So I was. So I was a big like I well, all right. When I was growing up, I had a Nintendo and I played the living shit out of that system. But then by the time it got upgraded to the Super Nintendo, my parents were like, "We're not buying that," and I'm like, "All right, okay." So
I had a Super Nintendo, and I had a few games.
I did not.
I had the Sega Genesis. That was the game. That was the system I love. And then I got into PlayStations, and that was it.
I didn't have a video game system until I bought a PS2 as an adult. I bought my
Yeah.
parents bought me a Nintendo, and then later on we got a computer, and then and I played on the computer a lot. I did a lot of computer
Yeah.
gaming, and then finally, like I got a PS2 when I was like my mid-20s, like 25 or 26, because largely and I had a computer too. I did a lot of computer gaming, but I bought the PS2 because one, I wanted the game system, but I also wanted a DVD player.
Hmm.
So my PS2 was also my first DVD
Yeah,
player.
and that same with me. And then when I was a kid, my parents got us the Atari 2600.
Sure, I didn't get that. Yeah, we were poor.
And yeah, man, I just remember, you screw it into the back of the TV, and then you had to go and flip the switch on the back to do the little slider switch to get it to go
Yep,
over to the game.
yep, yep. And if you couldn't like screw it into the cable port, you had to like plug it in with the three prong,
Well, that's what I was talking about,
audio.
was the adapter with
Yeah,
the two prongs. You had to screw those in to
yeah,
the
okay,
antenna
yeah,
port, basically.
yeah, the antenna port. Yeah, that's right. Fuck me. So another couple of quick things here before we get into Loki discussion. Robocock.
Robocock.
The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue, the lips, the teeth, the tip. All right. So RoboCop Rogue
Dead or
City
alive,
brings.
you're fucking with me. That's Robocock.
That's the porn version, man. We're
Yeah.
not talking about that. RoboCop Rogue City brings the crime-fighting cyborg to the realm of first-person shooters. Apparently, they are developing a RoboCop video game that is there. They have released a teaser trailer. It's less than a minute, and it takes place in old Detroit, and it looks like it's going to be pretty fucking badass. It is coming out to PC and consoles in 23, so we got a ways to wait on this one.
That's if it doesn't get delayed, like
if it doesn't get
every
delayed.
other game that we're seeing out there right now.
Exactly. So many games have been delayed. And
Well, I think a lot of people are really scared that they're afraid. They're like we don't want to pull a CD Projekt Red.
It is becoming. I think that's becoming an industry term. They don't want to pull a cyberpunk because it has changed. That fuck up has changed the game, so to speak, for gaming. I think that's one of the reasons why they pulled the plug on, or at least put the stoppers on Bloodlines 2, because
Well, there's a lot of other issues going on in Bloodlines.
True, but I think that company really does not want to fuck up that property.
Yeah.
So they're like, we got to make sure this is perfect, and I think the game wasn't perfect. It wasn't coming up to their standards. So they pretty much went up. We got to go back to fucking formula on this, man.
Well, they pulled it from the company that was working on it.
Yeah,
completely.
Yeah. Like I said, I think they're like, we gotta go back to formula. We got to go all the way back and start over. And so if we see, and the funny thing is you can still pre-order the game on Amazon and on Steam. So who knows, man?
Someday you might get it.
I don't do that. Fuck it. I'm not pre-ordering it.
Dude, it's the same thing with Baldur's Gate 3. I was like, I'm not going to pay full price for the game to play alpha.
Right. Exactly. as much as I'm excited to play that game, and from what I understand, it's gorgeous and it's really cool, and people are rave reviewing it. But until you release the full game, I'm not paying for it.
Yep.
And yeah, so anyway, RoboCop. I love RoboCop. It was one of my favorites. One of my favorite action movies of that era was RoboCop, and I even didn't dislike the second one. The third one kind of was stunk, but
Oh,
uh,
the speaking of video games, the thing I mentioned earlier that I wanted to just throw out there, Star Wars: The Old Republic is going to be celebrating its 10th anniversary this year,
right.
and with that, they have announced a major expansion called Legacy of the Sith, where they are going to expand on the little expansions that they've been doing up until now, with I guess a bigger storyline that will have some class specific elements back into it, which is one of the big things that a lot of people, myself included, I know, have been really disappointed with. In that the the initial story, there were 8 different stories, one for every class. They had their own storylines. Then every expansion since then, and it's understandable, that's a lot of work, but every expansion since then has just been a single storyline that every character class, it's the exact same thing for every. Some minor things in some of them where, like, when you meet up with some of your old companions and things like that, there's some minor class specific storylines in there, but this one I guess is going to have actual, like, full on class specific traits inside of the story. That could be. I'm looking forward to that. That's what got me into playing Star Wars: The Old Republic, because I'm not fully through the last set. I've been kind of, because they've been doing them in like chapters every couple of months.
Yeah.
I've kind of just stopped playing and let a bunch of them go through. So I'm not playing for like 2 hours and to go, oh, now I'm done. I'm caught up. So now I can play for several hours, get to the end.
I have never played the game. There's a part of me that's like feels like I need to turn in my Star Wars card because I've never played Knights of the Old Republic. You just can't play everything, and I have just been one of those like, as much as I like Star Wars, I never at the time Knights of the Old Republic I think was only available on the Xbox.
Well,
and
Knights is different than Old Republic.
Okay.
Because this is the online Old Republic.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sure. But anyway,
Knights of the Old Republic is way older than 10 years.
Sure. And I never got into Knights of the Old Republic, and because, like I said, I think it played only on the Xbox at the time, and I was a PlayStation guy. And then I tried the Old Republic. I tried the online game, and it just didn't grab me. I don't know, man. I played it when it went. I played it when it went free to play, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool, but it just wasn't grabbing me, and I feel bad about it. I think probably partially a lot of it is when it comes to MMOs. I'm just a City of Heroes guy at heart, and I've tried getting into other MMOs, and most of them haven't really grabbed me all that much. The only one that's even kind of come close was Neverwinter, the D&D one.
Mm-hmm.
And I even played Elder Scrolls Online, which I love Elder Scrolls, and even that was kind of bored me after a while. So I don't know. I was thinking about getting into trying DC Online again, because the first time I played DC Online, I played that on my PlayStation 3, but it consumed so much of the resources on the PlayStation that I was like, and I couldn't get into playing it on a fucking controller. I like, if I'm going to play an MMO, I want a keyboard. I want a keyboard and mouse it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a little, yeah. That was Renee going into the bathroom, just so you know. So, there you go. So one last thing for me, video game stuff. We also have a quick thing about another Vampire the Masquerade video game called Swan Song. We got a new trailer and a 2022 release window. It was once again another game that was previously slated for 21. and was delayed because of pandemic stuff and whatever. It's been delayed from its previous 21 release to February 22. And so for those of you guys like Vampire the Masquerade, you could try this. It's an upcoming entry in the prolific world of Darkness series, which also includes the recently delayed Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. Swan Song is a narrative RPG where you play as 3 different characters, one of which is Galeb the Vengeful Vampire, starring in the new trailer. The trailer kicks off with Galeb kicking back in a luxurious, which I'm not going to read that, but it looks like there's going to be some combat oriented stuff, but it also looks like it's very much going to be like a story, a story driven kind of game. So you may want to check that out, Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song, if you are into the vampy type of stuff. Now, it's getting late, so we should talk about Loki.
Yes, we should.
Holy fuck balls.
Yeah, what a fucking episode.
Wow, dude. It was really something.
Yeah,
shit.
wow. So yeah, we start off, so at the end of the last episode, we had the whole apocalypse thing on Lamentus.
Right.
And
they're basically sitting there waiting to die.
Well, yeah, that was the beginning of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Loki catches up to Sylvie, and
Right.
she's just standing there watching outside the city. You see the burning wreckage of the Ark, and you see all the big chunks, and you can see the planet basically just completely broken apart. And they sit there and they start talking, and Sylvie actually talks more about herself at the time.
Right.
And there's this whole thing, and then we go to the TVA, and all of a sudden they see this huge spike that's like shooting up, and they're like, "Have you ever seen one go up like that?" And they realize that has to be them for it to be like that. So they pop in and grab them before they actually die.
Yeah, there's two doors open up, and they basically kind of like, all right, well, I guess we're going through, and so it was interesting because most of the time when you see a branch happen, it kind of happens. It's like here's the branch, and it kind of goes up like this. This branch went like shot almost straight up, right? And you're like, fuck me. So they figure it out, and what it looked like was that Loki and Sylvie had made an emotional connection.
Yes.
And they kept making jokes that later on that they had like, are you falling for her? Are you falling in love with essentially yourself?
Well, let's face it. If there's anyone in the universe Loki's going to fall for, it's himself.
It's himself. It's the fact that he and Mobius called him like that's the ultimate narcissist, the ultimate narcissist. And I was like, wow, that's fucking smart. But the thing is I honestly don't think he was falling in love with her. I think he was I think there was an actual connection that was being made. I think he was the first time he'd actually given a shit for realsies about somebody other than himself. Like, because I think, other people he'd always had connections for in other ways. I mean, Thor was his brother, Frigga was his mother, Odin was his father. I mean, he cared about them in a familial kind of way. I think Sylvie was just like, he felt sorry for her. I think he felt
it was his first friend.
Yeah, maybe his first like real, I mean, I think he counts Mobius as a friend now too, but I think it was like he honestly started to care about this woman for beyond how he could potentially manipulate them.
What she could do for him.
Right. Exactly. He honestly cared about her. And I don't know if it was exactly like romantic love, but I think it was definitely like, yeah, he definitely cared. So, and it was enough to send up a spike, and I love that they were just dragging them away. And then you see Mobius basically, like, he really wants to work Sylvie, but Ravenna won't let him. So they
bring him in. They've got the collars on. They put him in there, and
separate rooms.
And then they actually put Loki in a time cell.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And we get to see Jamie Alexander come back as
Oh,
Lady
as
Sif.
Lady Sif. I love Jamie Alexander as Lady Sif. I think she was fantastic. I really wish they had done more with her. I honest to God's hope she's not dead because in the timeline because
Yeah.
I think there was some rumor of her possibly showing up in Love and Thunder because that's a thing. She wasn't in Ragnarok.
Right. And I think that's because of her commitment to Blind Spot.
Right. It was her commitment to Blind Spot. Plus, she also in Dark World, she got hurt pretty bad.
What did she?
In the filming of Dark World, yeah, she got hurt really bad, like hurt her back really bad. So she had to go through some pretty serious surgeries and stuff. And I mean, I guess she's more or less up to snuff now, but uh, it was pretty rough. So that was one of the reasons why she couldn't do that. And I think Blind Spot was an ABC show, wasn't it?
Yes. I
Yeah.
believe
So
so.
I mean, she was still under the mouse at the time. So
I think
um,
so.
I don't know. Yeah, dude. Jamie Alexander is on the cast list for Love and Thunder.
Okay.
Yeah. So awesome.
No, Blind
Awesome.
Spot was an NBC show.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so she was under contract to somebody else at the time. But yeah, Russell Crowe is Zeus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyway, so we see that, and it's, I guess I didn't realize that it's happened multiple times. They've done this story multiple times um in the comics of Loki cutting Sif's hair.
Oh yeah. Yeah, been
That's
several times.
and so she comes out and she's holding a piece of her hair, and she's like, "You!"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Sif," and she just walks up and decks him.
Dex, well, she says a couple of things
Yeah.
too, like you're gonna die alone and all these
Oh,
other
yeah.
things. And finally, at one point, he actually he tries to reason with her a little bit. It's like, I'm so sorry, you're right, I'm a narcissist, and all these things. And finally, finally, like one of the last times, she helps him stand up, and he stands up, and she doesn't punch him or kick him or knee him or anything, but she still looks at him and just says, "You're horrible and you're going to die alone." And it's almost like, oh, that's an even worse punch than the punch in the face, you know? Um, yeah, actually, if I remember correctly, in the comic books, Lady Sif has always had dark hair. She's always been a brunette. But in the original legends, I believe Sif is a blonde.
Yes, she is. She's
And yeah, and it was a
as
point.
most of the Asgardians were.
Right.
Blonde or red.
Except for Loki. Loki was not.
Right,
And
well, but Loki was also not technically an Asgardian.
right, he was half giant. So the thing is in the comic books, I believe they explained why Sif has black hair instead of blonde hair, because Loki cut it off when he was as a prank, and they went through some sort of thing to grow Sif's hair back, and it came back black instead of blonde. So, but I'm like, yeah, I'm watching Jamie Alexander walk in a Sif with her hair all jacked up, and I'm like, man, you don't fuck around with the goddess of battle, man. She will mess you up. Arguably, she could take Thor in a one-on-one hand-to-hand combat.
Mhm.
Now, actually, in the comics now, she's actually standing at the Bifrost because Heimdall is her brother, and Heimdall, I'm behind in the comics. I can't remember. I think Heimdall either passed away or had left during the War of the Realms, which is the big big crossover that they did, I think 2 summers ago. And it was I don't think Heimdall had abdicated his power and his position to his younger sister, and now she is the guardian at the Bifrost.
Okay.
Yeah, and so yeah, I mean, it was so fucking cool though. I loved it. For a little bit, Marvel was trying to turn Sif into their Wonder Woman for about a minute.
Yeah.
And I think they could have done it if they had done it right. In fact, it was one of the things that people complained about when Jane Foster was made the Lady Thor, that why make a female version of Thor when you've got Lady Sif? They could, why make this character? You've got either Valkyrie or you've got Lady Sif. You've got these other established, really cool Asgardian characters, but you got to bring in a new one. So, but ultimately, the female Thor storyline was actually pretty cool. So, I know you didn't care for it all that much, but it lasted for as long as it lasted, and then Thor got his hammer back, and it was pretty
Mm-hmm.
cool. So, hell, he even has his arm back. I mean, they had severed his arm, and he was walking around with a big old metal arm and shit, and now he has his arm back. And he was,
But yeah, so was it, what's her name? The judge? The,
Ravenna,
Ravenna.
or Ravana.
Yeah, she goes to see the timekeepers. And we
Right.
get our first look at them, and as soon as I saw them, I'm like, nope, it's a whole fucking Wizard of Oz thing.
Yep.
There's
Don't pay attention to the man behind the
yeah,
curtain.
I'm like, that is so fucking Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, oh my god. And we discovered eventually that was the case. And it was funny because, so, there's a lot of experimenting, and or not experimenting. There's a lot of character dialogue. There's a lot of breaking it apart. And Mobius is basically he's mad, and he's every right to be mad because he feels betrayed by Loki. He feels like they were building a friendship and building a rapport, and Loki just he takes off after the variant, and they're chasing him around. They're trying to find him, and she's chasing her. He's chasing her around, and Loki's trying to explain to Mobius. He's like, "You're a variant.
Yeah, all of you are.
All of you are variants." And Mobius is like, "Whatever, dude," and then tosses him back in the thing. But it's enough to make Mobius smart.
Yeah, but
And
yeah,
it's
you're
enough
right.
to make him. It breaks his belief.
And what you said earlier though too was right. He wanted to go talk to Sylvie as well, and Ravana said no.
Right, because I think if Mobius had too much connection and too much connection to these other to the other Loki, she'd be like, she feared him being contaminated. I think.
Well, and he started asking Ravana too about what's her name, B15 or B20, whatever, C20.
C20, I think.
C20, the one that Sylvie had mind jacked.
Yeah.
And she's like, she didn't make it.
Yeah, she was rambling and she was babbling, and he was like, "No, she seemed okay when we got her," and she's like, "No, she bottomed out."
Yeah, and she just died.
Yeah, and that was really suspicious. That was like he didn't dig that. And it got to the point where his suspicions were enough that he stole Ravenna's thingy.
Yeah.
And time pad or whatever it is, and looked it up and saw that she was hiding things from it.
Yeah, that C20 was coherent.
Yeah.
And that Ravenna was right there.
So, and then we also see the other guard. I can't remember her name.
B15, I think is.
Yeah, and she had been controlled. She had been enchanted by Sylvia at one point, and she
not to the same extent that C20 was.
No, but enough to where she saw something.
Mm-hmm.
She saw a memory, or she saw something. And like I said, I bet you any money that that Mobius was all into jet skis, man.
Oh yeah, and he says that later. I just want a jet ski.
Yeah. And so anyway, she confronts Sylvie and says, "I saw something. What was it?" And she's like, "You were happy. This was a thing. You saw a memory." And so she goes, "Show me again." And you don't get to see what she sees, but you see the look on her face, and she's like, "I was happy, wasn't I?" And she's like, "Yeah."
Yeah, because that's the thing. She comes in, grabs Sylvie, and takes her to the rocks cart.
Yeah.
Place where the hurricane's coming in.
Right.
Again.
So that they can be safe.
Yeah.
So nobody will find them right away.
And it's the same place where she did that.
Right. And then they go back, and she's like, and she helps her. Then B20 or B15 or whatever it was, helps her to kind of stage a revolt, later on. And so eventually Sylvie and Loki both get pulled in, and they go to meet the timekeepers.
They're going to be executed.
Yeah, and they're going to be executed and stuff. And this was actually, was this before or after Mobius was pruned, as they say?
Yeah, I think it was after.
After,
Yeah,
because
because
Mobius,
Mobius went to break Loki out.
yeah, because he's like, you're right.
Yeah.
There's something is fishy here. And then Ravenna discovers, she comes in with some guards and she's like, hey, I think you have something of mine. And he's like, and Mobius at first, to his credit, he's like, hey, yeah, I was just coming down to give it. I figured it out. And, and she's like, come on,
And that's when he did. He says, I just want a jet ski.
Yeah, and then she prunes him, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god!" Now I personally feel like that's not the last we've seen of Mobius. I think we're going to see him again.
Well, and we'll get into the mid-credit scene at the end.
Right, exactly. So, but even after it happened, I'm like, he ain't dead completely. We're going to see more of this guy. So, then Loki, and you could see the look on Loki's face. He was obviously upset.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, you killed my friend," and I mean, they could have known each other for more than a couple of days, maybe a week at the most, but you get, some people build connections very quickly, and I mean, I know I do, and uh, and I think he did, and it was at that point they were like, he knew that Mobius was his friend, and it's just like he was devastated at that, and then so then we see we see them go to the timekeepers, and you see that they want to try and have like a confrontation of some kind, and I shit you not, Chris, I couldn't understand a word they were fucking saying. I was ready to turn on the subtitles because I couldn't understand what the timekeepers were saying.
Yeah, I couldn't really understand the timekeepers either.
It was all
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, are they speaking English?
what the fuck is going on here? So
they were from Chuck E. Cheese.
Loki, we will destroy you for trying to destroy our perfect timeline. Somebody forgot to put a quarter in him. So we see like a big fight happens. Ravonna comes in. There's fight. Sylvia's kicking ass. I mean, she's a hell of a hand-to-hand.
B-15 comes in and throws Sylvia the sword.
Right. And then I think at one point, yeah, then
she
Loki
deactivates the collars and then throws Sylvia the sword.
Right. And Loki is like, he's fighting too, and they're tossing the sword back and forth and everything. And I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome at this point. And that's why I always watch the subtitles and captions. I don't blame you, Dawn. I don't blame you, because that was some horse shit. I was like, what the fuck are they saying? And so anyway, you finally get to the point where, they've obviously won the fight, and Sylvie just walks up and beheads one of them, and it's a robot. It's some sort of automaton.
Yep.
Automaton.
And the other two just start laughing.
Yeah. And that was a thing. We were burping up that macaroni and cheese. So, and that was the thing that we had said before. There was a lot of theories stating that that the timekeepers are gone. That it's just the bureaucracy is running itself, or if they're not gone, they're certainly not around.
There's a lot. There's a whole thing about that it's actually Kang that's running.
Sure, yeah. There's that idea too, and I mean they're poised to introduce Kang in an upcoming film, probably, I believe,
Quantumanium.
Quantumanium, yeah, Ant-Man 3. So I was like, yeah, perhaps the Wizard of Oz, maybe. I wouldn't mind. I think, CD, I think you're on to something there. Maybe the Wizard of Oz. But it was funny. Like,
well, there's a lot of tie-in with Ravenna and Kang too.
Correct. In the comics, that Ravenna was his wife and whatnot. So
and she was actually like a female version of him for a while.
Correct. Thing. She was right, exactly. So we'll see how that all plays out. But we did also see the two of Sylvie and Loki about to have like a kind of an emotional moment, and then
Loki gets pruned,
and Ravenna prunes Loki, and I'm just like, fuck, man. All right. Well, we know Loki's not dead. The show's named Loki, for fuck's sake. So we know he's not going to be dead, but there is something to be said for what's going on. So Sylvie then disarms Ravenna, and she's like, "Do it," and she's ready to prune her. And I think because Sylvie knows that pruning is not death, and
I
she
don't know that she does know that.
no, maybe not,
I
but
think
she
she's
was
just done.
maybe, but I think we'll figure that out once we find out what happened in as we saw in the end credit scene. Um, Sylvie, and then Sylvie is basically holding the wand above her and saying, tell me everything. And oh, hi, Dresden. Push my door. He's getting really smart and strong. He just pushed the door open. So anyway, to kind of wrap things up, we see that that's when credits rolled, and we're like, fuck, man, what's going on? And then in the mid-credits scene, you see Loki wake up, and he
In
kind of
what is like a ruined New York City. He's like in
right,
Central Park, I
yeah,
think.
in some kind of ruined, like
You see it. You can
apocalyptic
see
kind of
Stark
thing.
Tower like
Right.
half crumbled, and
Yeah. And he's like, where am I? And am I dead? And and three guys are standing above him, and they're saying, well, you will be if you don't come with us. And it
it's
is
original
Crocky,
Loki,
right? You see
Kid
Kid
Loki,
Loki.
Kid Loki,
Yeah.
and then there's the other guy. I'm not sure who the black guy was,
I think he is supposed to be a Loki as well, but I think
but
he's supposed
yeah.
to be more tied into the mythology or
Well,
something.
I thought he was the worthy Loki
Yes, I think you're correct. I think
because
he's
he's got
supposed to
a
be
version of Mjolnir that looks very cyberpunky.
right.
It,
Yeah, a little bit like, just a different design and
and
stuff.
then there's alligator Loki as well.
Or as your wife said, croaky.
Croaky.
Dwarf Loki. But yeah, it's so yeah, the in the comics, Loki was a kid for a while, and
During
um
because the whole thing is that the Asgardian that it's a cycle,
right,
and it's Ragnarok happens, everyone's destroyed, and then they're
right.
reborn.
One of the times that one of the more recent times that the gods were kind of reborn, they were reborn into human forms, and Thor had to go out and find them essentially, and had to do that a couple of times actually, and at one point when Loki was a woman, he had been actually was he had co-opted. It was still when he was very villainous, and he had co-opted Sif's body and trapped Sif in the body of an old comatose woman, and then Loki had co-opted Sif's form and was walking around as this sexy Lady Loki. That's why we see so many. For a while, we were seeing a whole bunch of cosplays for Lady Loki, and then Thor kind of freed Sif and got that was squared away. But then again, another rebirth cycle, and Loki was reduced to a 10-year-old kid, and Thor kind of gave him a pass because Loki at that time wasn't remembering a lot of the things that he had done. He was just kind of this mischievous kid at that point. And so Thor was like, hey, I got my little brother back, and he is actually my little brother. And so he kind of saw it as like we got a chance to start over. And that was the beginning.
Well,
That was kind of leading up to Loki being thought of as more of an anti-hero at that
I
point.
mean, Kid Loki was part of the Young Avengers for a while.
No, not really, but he
I thought he
palled around
was.
with him for a little bit, but
Hmm.
he really wasn't. I don't think they ever considered him a part of the Young Avengers, but he did play a
Loki
part.
powers activate.
He did play a part in one of their storylines and stuff,
Hmm.
and he was also, I think he was involved with another part of the storyline too. I can't remember, but now Loki was aged up to more of an older teenager, like maybe 19, 20-year-old, and that's where he was. He's kind of stood for quite a while, and then now he's kind of back to a closer to his normal age, but at the same time, they also haven't made him look quite so creepy, because that's the thing. Um, Hang on a second. The actor that is playing the old style, like the old comic book style
Original
Loki,
Loki.
yeah. that actor is Richard Grant. And Richard Grant's a British actor. He's done a bunch of shit. You'd recognize him a bunch of stuff. You ever remember the movie Warlock with
Yeah,
Adrian
way the hell back.
Sands?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the heroic lead of that film. He was in Hudson Hawk. He's done a bunch of stuff, and so that version of Loki was always looked very sinister. He was like had a longer nose, and he was always looked very mean and sinister. And he was that was when Loki was the god of evil. So we should be seeing that. Should be interesting to see them how they work all together.
I want to know how they're going to wrap this up in 2 episodes.
I agree. I think this next episode is going to be a big info dump, and then the final episode will be the wrap up.
Yep.
And so we should see hopefully some answers, because my God, I really want some fucking like clarity, because like I had said before, WandaVision kept me guessing, and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I kind of could see where everything was coming. I was like, there wasn't a whole lot of surprises.
There really wasn't
that one, but it was still great. But
the beheading was kind of a surprise for me. That one,
not for me. But this show is definitely, I don't know where they're going. I don't know what they're doing, and I love it. So,
which real quick before, because we gotta wrap up. But did you also see what's her name? Sophia, the woman that's playing Sylvie.
What about her?
She tweeted out a picture thanking the costume designers.
Yeah.
Because she just recently had a kid, which holy shit.
Yeah. So she's breastfeeding right now.
Yeah, she's breastfeeding, and they put hidden zippers into her costume.
Right. So
that she could actually nurse or pump or whatever she needed to do.
Yeah. Made it a lot more convenient.
Yes.
So she didn't have to get out of the whole costume to get everything, and stuff. I was like, that's fucking awesome. That's really fucking awesome. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it's cool. But yeah, bravo to the costume designers and whatnot of her costume,
Yep.
Let's see here. It's we should wrap things up. We guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Again, happy 4th of July. Happy a bunch of white guys didn't want to pay their taxes day. And, what was it? It's the happy
Treason Day.
Happy Ungrateful Colonials Day.
No, it's Happy Treason Day, you ungrateful colonials.
Colonials, that's what it is. But anyways, thanks for joining us, guys. Be sure to join if you want to download us and or view us on all the places that you can find quality podcasting. Ladies and gentlemen, we're on iTunes, the Google Play Store, we're on Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, radio.com. Of course, you can find us all of our episodes on nerdswithalcoholshow.com every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock here on Drinking Nerds on Twitch, and then Chris puts it up on Drinking Nerds on our YouTube channel a couple of days later.
Yeah, and then you can follow us on most of the social medias. We are on Facebook, Nerds with Alcohol Show. We are on Twitter at Drinking Nerds. We are on Instagram, Drinking Nerds, and we are also on Untapped, the beer drinking app. Just search for Drinking Nerds, send us a friend request, and we will get you added.
That's right. So yeah, I guess that's about it, isn't it?
Remember, tell your friends. We need a few more. We need a few more followers. We're getting close, but
yeah, we're kind of stalled out at 44, guys. Let's get that 6 more followers so that we can kind of be brought up to that next level of streaming kind of goodness. And thanks again, CD. Hey, Sean came on for a little bit at the end there. I didn't even see.
Yeah, Loki is Loki, whose power is over 9,000.
Fuck you, man. Somebody at work to me, they were teasing me about Superman because I mentioned Dick Donner had passed away, and I was like, yeah, well, Superman, the 1978 changed the game. And one of my friends was like, they're teasing me, Superman sucks and Superman, and that's the one. And when my friend Danny was sitting next to me, she's like, yeah, Goku could beat Superman. And I'm like, God, fuck off, you know. But that would lead to a multiverse of madness. Stan Loki. Ha ha ha.
All right. Well, we should
So
get
yeah,
going.
thanks again. Thanks again for jumping in at the end here, guys. Sean, I'll see you later this week. Nicolin's in town for a couple of days and coming on his way back. And
I was gonna say, is he still in town?
no, he came into town and then he went to Keizu for the 4th, and now he's kind of on his way back to New York. He's going to spend a couple more days. We're going to hang out. And
Cool.
then, yeah. So CD and Auntie and everybody.
Ghost Hand was on earlier. So
yeah, Ghost Hand. Thanks for sticking around, guys. We do appreciate it. Come and if we could get those 6 more followers, it'd be great.
Yep. So all right. Well, I think on that note.
Until next time. Sláinte. There we go. Awesome.
That's all right.
That's pretty good.
All right. Have a good week, everybody.
Good night.